Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the Skills Development Program update refresher highlights. I'm so happy to introduce our SDP rep, Sarah Mujo, who will take us through tonight's webinar. Take it away, Sarah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dana. I'll remind everyone there's quite a bit of information coming up, and I can't possibly say everything all in one slide. And so it would be best if you could hold your questions until the end, because usually I hope that I can answer it before too long after you have that question. So if you want to just jot down your question or put them in the chat box, I'm not going to monitor the chat during the course of the presentation, but I'll check in there after. So if you just need a place to hold your questions until I can get to them at the end, you can do it there as well. Dana was great, and she reminded us to mute our mics just for some feedback noise. But without further ado, I think we can get started. So this is just a quick, well, not a quick, it's a fairly lengthy overview of the updates and the highlights of our revision that's been going on for a very long time. So tonight we're going to cover an overview of the work that the committee took on over the course of the year, specifically a lot of hard work over the summer, some overall program revisions within each skill that are common to many skills, an example of how we based our progressions. We'll take a quick look at our new ribbons, which is our Active Start 1 and Active Start 2. I'll explain how to convert your athlete status. And we'll look at an adjudication method overview, which is the new A1 course, as well as discuss the pre-competitive alignment. Before we dig in any further, I wish to extend a huge thank you to the current committee members, our CBTF Technical Chair, Dana, our CBTF Coaches Rep, Maureen, our ABTA SDP Rep, Taylor, our SBTA Representative, Nancy, our OBTA SDP Rep, Stephanie, our Baton New Brunswick Rep, Debbie, as well as myself. So our committee had a very diverse background, and we pulled a lot of information from many sources. Collectively, we drew on our experiences, including feedback from the membership, as well as an in-depth look at the Japanese 6 degrees, which is promoted by the WBTF, the WBTF Level 1 coaching course, the WBTF Coaches Training Program with Seishi Inagaki from 2014, previous manuals. We considered from the A1 review and adjudication update, the pre-competitive program review, the acrobatic arts syllabus, the ADAPT syllabi, the CDTA syllabi, and the RAD syllabi. So as a committee, we met several times via Zoom, and we updated our philosophy and goals. We charted the progressions for a holistic view, and we have a poster prepared. We outlined and updated the manual wording and added new progressions. We made sure that we were aligned with the LTAD. We filmed each skill and linked each video on a PDF manual as well as on a chart. Our mission, part of our first thing that we worked on was updating our goal statements. And so the first thing we looked at were our mission, our vision, our values, our goals, and our objectives. So our mission is as follows. The Skills Development Program is a comprehensive progressional model for the sport of baton twirling with the focus of equal development in all 3 modes of twirling, as well as body technique elements following the CBTF long-term athlete development strategy. Our vision is that the SDP strives to be a national program that builds a strong technical foundation with a consistent approach to development, terminology, and training of baton twirling and body technique skills for every twirler across Canada. Our values are strong fundamentals demonstrating correct technique with proper progressional development, competency and proficiency to build confidence. Our goals are for every athlete, regardless of gender, race, age, religion, or ability, to attain personal growth and skill development in the sport of baton twirling, with the opportunity to advance through the program, achieving success through competency. And our objectives are to develop the physical literacy skills necessary to progress in the sport of baton twirling, including balance, coordination, posture, strength, flexibility, and ambidexterity, speed, control, and endurance. and to develop the social skills necessary to be successful, such as self-confidence, discipline, concentration, memorization, commitment, and dedication. Prior to our review, this is how our badge program looked, and this is the one that we're currently using, so we're all fairly familiar with it. Across the top is the LTAD, like our long-term athlete development, and then how each of those fits into our training is below. So in active start, we have our white ribbon. Fundamentals goes up to our bronze pin. Our learn to train includes our up to silver pin. Train to train would be our gold pin. And then learn to compete serves our diamond pin, which is our 8 compulsories. And we know, of course, that our long active for life encompasses all of our skills development program as well. So our update for this year looks like this. This is the updated progression for the SDP program. So I'll highlight a few changes for you. First, Active Start 1 and Active Start 2 now take the place of the white ribbon and are mandatory as part of the progression of the skills development program. The skills in these levels are foundational to the entire program. You'll also notice that turquoise and pink are now included prior to the silver pin. The developmental gap between bronze pin and silver pin is quite large. Thus, we broke down the progressions to better serve these twirlers. After the silver pin, we have 2 newly named badges, purple and blue, and these badges cover the progression required for twirlers between silver pin and gold pin and other skills at that level. Our next newly named badge is copper, and this badge covers the progression between gold and diamond and other skills at that level. Our last new badge is the black badge. Much like a black belt in martial arts, this badge represents the last badge of the program. This badge covers the progressions from diamond pin to the level A short program elements and other skills at that level. Our last addition is a new pin, the pinnacle, if you will, of our badge program, the Maple Leaf pin, and it includes elements for the level A short program performed without music. This diagram that I'm presenting now is included at the start of each badge in the manual to track your progress and also will be available for easy reference. Now, looking within each of the levels, it was important that we tracked the progression of different skills and made sure that we had bite-sized steps for every twirler to feel success and be working toward skills that are desirable or that they want to achieve. And one common one is our one spin. And so we looked at how does that grow from day one, in essence, all the way up until catching your first one spin. And so we look at the progressions, and I have a video to demonstrate after, but in Active Start 2, we work on our tree position with a matched hand pass, and I'll show you a video after. We have the dead stick, drop, and grab catch. We work on our head positions so that that's the first foundation of spotting our head. We practice rising to demi-point and demi-point walks to learn how to strengthen our ankles and balance. In yellow, we work on our two-hand A or westerns, and that's directly from the Japanese 6 degrees. It's their progression prior to two-hand twirls to help with the hand position as well as the reception. And we also have wrist twists to build our wrist strength. In orange, we progress to our two-hand twirls and our thumb roll, as well as working in the body work with our foot positions, such as jazz fourth. In red, we move on to our flourish, which we know is our preparation. We start building our strong thumb flip. We have an exercise for spotting of the head, and we also practice balancing in the spin position over the course of 4 counts. It's not a 4-count balance, but practicing the timing of the push-off. In maroon, we have a push-off one spin, that's the body work only. In gray, we practice our thumb toss. And in green, we have our one spin finally. So what does that look like? I'll show you a video. Keep in mind, for the sake of time, I've only included the right hand for each skill, if it's broken up as a right or left. So don't worry, we are doing both sides. We're working for ambidexterity, but for the sake of time, I haven't included both sides. So those are the tree positions with our matched hand pass. And this is our drop catch. As well as our head positions. This is working on rising to demi point and practicing that little balance. And here's our demi point walks. This is the Western or the two-hand A from the Japanese 6 degrees. And here are our wrist twists to help build our wrist strength. I'm sure we're all very familiar with this as a warm-up. This is our two-hand spin exercise, practicing both forward and reverse, building some continuity and flow. You'll also notice that we have a lot of passes behind the back to help us practice our wrist flexibility to help our whips improve down the road. Also, some videos include a zoom in or a slow-mo to help you and learn a little bit more about the correct technique, especially for younger, newer coaches. That was our thumb drop. And these are our ballet fourth and jazz fourth foot positions, also showing our transfer of weight. And some videos, if necessary, show a side view as well afterward and include tips for helping to improve the technique, especially if the visual doesn't exactly do it justice for exactly what you're looking for. Next, we have our flourish, as well as our thumb flip. This is our new exercise for spotting, helping us practice finding our front and then whipping the head without the pressure of the body technique and balancing. Here is the balance and spin position. Next, this is our thumb toss. And finally, it leads into our one turn. So you can see there is a lot of work building up for each and every skill so that we have the proper progressions and we've made sure that we're not skipping steps before we ask for specific skills, which is part of the reason for expanding the number of badges. Another example of a progression would be a retraction elbow layout. And this starts on day one in active start one, which is demonstrating the balance point on 3 different body parts, the hand, the arm, and the elbow. In yellow, we look at the stationary hand roll as well as a lower arm roll. And these arm rolls are also incorporated into our revision for the pre-competitive program. So I'm very excited to showcase those for you today. Next, in orange, we have our forward and reverse hand rolls with a pivot, as well as our upper arm roll. In red, we have our forward and reverse figure 8 hand roll. In maroon, we have our elbow roll as well as our layout. And in gray, we work from our layout from the front to the side, which is a new addition, as well as our paddles. Green, we have our elbow extension roll. Turquoise, we have our elbow extension and retraction combination, which finally gets us to pink, which is our retraction elbow layout, where we put all of our skills together. So here's a video showcasing those progressions. Balance on the back of your left hand. Some videos feature a voiceover so that you can hear what would be expected in an adjudication setting like this. Balance on your left elbow. These are the hand rolls. We practice them in a variety of different arm positions. Well, two, I guess that's our variety, is 2 different arm positions to help understand where the rolls are progressing. Those are the lower arm rolls, and we've worked to build in some continuity and flow within our rolls rather than a dead stop. Those are our hand rolls with the pivot. This is the upper arm roll. These are our figure 8 hand rolls. You'll notice that the left and the right skill is connected instead of being a stop and change hands to help build up our continuous twirling skills. And these are reverse hand rolls. Also important to do things forward and reverse. We built that in as much as possible. This is the elbow roll. You'll see it's the same flow with roll at the front, roll at the back, whether it's the arm roll or the elbow roll, to help us with our forward and reverse different rolls. Those are our layouts. These are our paddles. Again, practicing from the left and the right. Here's the new layout from front to side. Helps with the dip of the baton. And this is our elbow extension. Again, a combination to help build the flow and smoothness. And here is our extension and retraction roll series or combination. And finally, it builds up to our retraction elbow layout. And of course, we do it on both sides. I'd like to highlight some of the big changes or new additions. We have every badge is sorted out to modes of twirling. So in yellow, orange, red, and maroon, one of our modes is full hand skills. In gray, green, turquoise, pink, full hand skills go away because they're encompassed into our contact. And we include swings, wraps, and slaps because there's a lot of foundational skills held in our swings, wraps, and slaps. Every badge includes contact and rolls. And in gray, green, turquoise, pink, as well as the 4 new badges, we also add aerials. And each badge contains 2 to 3 skills in each mode. We also included modes of bodywork, and this arose from the work we did last year with our A1 course update or the Adjudicator 1 course update. Breaking out each different type of body movement will help with better assessment as well as better teaching and better progression. So the modes of body movement we came up with are first stretch and strength, and that's included in every single badge, a stretch or a strength exercise. We also have a position or balance mode, elevation, travel and combination, extension, and turning. And each badge contains stretch and strength plus 3 other modes with 2 to 3 skills in each mode. It's important to note that the right and the left for the same skill count as one skill, whether it's in the body mode or the bodywork side or baton skills. It also helps us provide a more balanced development of overall twirling and good body work. Here are some general skill and manual updates. All of our start and end positions are building toward the compulsory start and end positions, or at least make sense for the skill that that's being presented. We have more combination-based twirling, and some bodywork skills are performed with support. And what that means is that you can either have a bar, a chair, or even a wall so that the athlete has something to balance with. We also will use a metronome for bodywork that is rhythm-based, and all of the metronome beats are set at exactly 100 beats per minute. And this was done based on evidence from our pre-competitive standard routine music. And so here below, I just have a chart for my nerdy research I did tapping on my metronome that are basic march, forward motion, medley, solo, solo dance, twirl, twirl team 1, twirl team 2, and dance twirl team 1 all fall in with the roughly around 120, 130. Solo isn't really rhythm based, but I thought it was interesting that it's at 100 beats per minute. So this is a little bit slower than our expectations for our pre-competitive twirlers, and that's okay, mostly because we want to ensure that they're having good technique, and we don't want to rush the body work to keep up with the rhythm, but we still want to maintain that consistent timing. One of our main focuses in our committee was our LTAD alignment. So Active Start 1 and Active Start 2 are now designed for sessional classes, and they replace our old white ribbon. So this is for the fresh starters, the new twirlers. This can be done as part of a class, but if you're leading a sessional class, like a 10-week program at a community center, for instance, this is a great opportunity to do the report card with them, and it's still adjudicator or coach assessed, so you don't have to bring in and do a big skill badge test at the end of your sessions. It just provides a little bit more support for also having a follow-up session or a second 10-week session, or it's the next 10 weeks in your year with your new twirlers. Each badge is estimated to take roughly 1 season of training if you were training at 1 hour per week. So again, our skills development program is designed for every twirler. We know that there are a lot of twirlers who are in the gym way more than 1 hour per week. And so if we're doing that, you can accomplish more than one badge or one level, I guess, badge or pin per year. So don't be frightened that there are more badges. It just might mean that you're taking 2 tests in a year, and that's okay. Within our manual and our app, which I'll address in a few minutes, each badge is formatted to highlight the key details to help you quickly at a glance read it a little bit faster. All of the baton work and body skills are always bolded and enlarged with a black background as their heading. Each mode, so full hand moves, contact, etc., is bolded with a light red background. You can see there at the second line at the top. And then each skill title is numbered and has a gray background. The skills are underlined, which will link to a video demonstration if you're working off of the PDF version, or it will be available right beside it in the app. Each skill has its short video clip, as I just said. There's no more scrubbing through an entire video of every skill in the badge to find your specific skill. You click on it. It is a short, sometimes 2-second clip up to 10 or 20 seconds, depending on how long each skill takes. Each skill begins with a defined start position, as we know from previous manuals. And we've included a fun reference, the little red stick person, to show the start or end position at a glance. And then it's right beside the order of the descriptors, and they remain consistent throughout the program for easy reference. So the first thing you'll always see is what direction you're facing, then where is your baton, then where is your free arm, and then where are your feet. It always goes in that order. And I'll just zoom in. Our little stick person is very detailed. You can even see we're facing wall 7, so the baton is behind the tiny waist of the little red stick person. So you have a quick at a glance view to see where are you facing and how are you starting. That also follows through, I should add, for the end position as well. Then there's the nucleus of the skill, and it has the details. So the individual steps are separated on each line to aid for quick reading. So kind of like paragraphs or stanzas, however you want to think of it that way. And lastly, at the end, there's a look for section at the end of each skill. These look fors are meant to aid adjudicators and coaches alike in developing correct technique and building proficiency. So for instance, here I have the example of stationary hand rolls. Things that you're looking for in your athlete are tracking over the back of the hand, proper pattern, that the palm stays down on the roll on reception. I'm very excited to launch the Active Start program. As we said before, it is our response to our LTAD alignment, and it now replaces the white ribbon. Also, it's now included as a required part of programming, but it's still adjudicated by the coach or the adjudicator. We know that it's important to go through every progression, and so as a committee, we put important material in there, so it's not something that's optional. It's something that builds into each and every skill coming up, as you saw with the progressions. Continue to use your supply of white ribbons as your Active Start 1 ribbons. We'll have a new design, an order of our red ribbons for Active Start 2 to celebrate our Canadian colors. And just a reminder that it's designed for achievable small progressions for sessional classes. You also have at your fingertips new printable report cards, and this replaces the mail out of our old report cards for white ribbon. Because it's cheaper to print at home on nice cardstock, or you can even go to Staples or Costco, it's cheaper than the cost of mailing. So we're going to put that in the hands of the coaches, and then you can have them when you need them. Here's a sample of our Active Start report card, and Active Start 2 looks the same, just with the proper skills included. And so I'll highlight a few key features. First, there's a checkbox for everything, as you saw in the previous report cards as well. Also, some feedback we received was that there wasn't much room to write a comment for each skill. So we have a line if you wish to add a comment near each skill for the twirlers, as well as a general comment section, a place to sign and date, and then check off pass or retry. So here's a sample view of what it would look like as a little booklet in my terrible PowerPoint graphics. So this would be the front cover. You'd fold it, obviously, and then it would open up to look like this. In the middle, my baton skills, I can show, and then my body work, I can show, and you can check off all the things that they achieved, kind of like a swimming report card. And then on the back, it's our beautiful advertising to continue with the skills development program, all in full color and full glory. So without further ado, I am assuming that everyone is itching to see a little bit more. And of course, I'm happy to show you. Here's an example of the skills demonstration for red. So this is just the baton skills. And rather than reading a manual to you, I think that would be awfully boring. Here's the video clips. So the first mode is our full hand moves. And we start off with our flourish, and we do it on both hands. Next, we have our horizontal figure eights, again in both hands, and this is a combined skill. So we're building in some of that combination twirling. Next is our contact. We have our thumb flip, right and left. Here's our horizontal neck wrap. This is one of our new additions, the golf swing. And I can say, as someone who's now using the golf swing in her classes, it is very fun and the kids really like it. Here's our rolls mode, and it starts with our figure eight hand rolls. This is the forward figure eight hand rolls. Again, combining right and left to build up some continuous twirling. And then we go on to our reverse hand rolls as well. And that concludes all of the baton skills that we would have for our red. So you saw there was about 2 skills in each of the modes, very achievable, bite-sized progressions. Here's an example of the bodywork demonstration. And so I chose green because it's a little bit of a higher level and we haven't talked much about it today. So our first mode is stretch and strength. And this one starts as our tabletop demonstration. And so we worked to make sure that we were building up in small increments our strength, our stamina, our flexibility. And so this tabletop follows a demonstration of it and then a shorter time held. I believe that green is 30 seconds holding your tabletop. I included the video of the full 30 seconds, not because it's something I want you to watch for 30 seconds and be bored, but it's important to remember that throughout the duration of sustaining these held positions, that you're still working your muscles actively to continue that right positioning. You could see her belly breathing, and that's important. One of our stretches is the shoulder stretch. And so that one showing the flexibility of our shoulders, we know as we improve our twirling skills, flexible shoulders go a long way. And lastly, this one has a third strength and stretch, which is the bridge, working for that flexibility of our back. And it's just a demonstration at this level. Next, we have our position and balance mode. And this one is looking at the transfer of weight as well as a pivot with the weight on the front foot. So that involves balancing and maintaining your core strength. We also do a Taundue to second and lift, and this is building in our kicks to second, as well as working on our turnout and our strength. We also have our transfer of weight, practicing through fifth position. So practicing pulling up. We also introduce athletes to a variety of body movements as well as arm positions with their body work to aid in their development and their growth, including some stylized options. Here's our ponies in our elevation mode. We also have our jumping chaîné or our jazz pas de chat. And lastly, we have our travel and combination mode. And this one is our step hop chassé combination, working on continuous movement and combining different steps. We also have a chaîné rock. Next, I'd like to go over a quick overview of the A1 assessment or our new assessment plan, mostly so that we're all on the same page. I think it's important that adjudicators and coaches alike all know what we're looking for so that there's no secrets or big surprises down the road. So with the new A1 course and the update for our current adjudicators, it's going to look at our updated scoring system, which I'll discuss shortly. We have the A1 course to roll out coming up shortly, as well as an update for current adjudicators this fall. The assessment for each badge scores modes holistically, and that's our update for the A1 course. You'll notice it looks an awful lot like our pre-competitive score sheets, and that's by design. As students progress, twirling combinations develop within the badges utilizing skills from previous badges. And so it'll help our adjudicators assess better smooth twirling, connected twirling, rather than rewarding trick-oriented and breaky twirling. So first you'll notice the top of the score sheet. They're adjudicated according to each caption. So at the top here, we can see, for instance, in the yellow badge, we have our full hand, our contact, and our rules, and the skills are listed for quick reference under each of the different modes. Within each caption, we have our things that we're looking for, and these are important qualities a successful athlete will display for each of the modes. We ask that our adjudicators assess using the circle and check method for a quick assessment. Of course, we know a check beside a look for indicates the athlete is exceeding the expectations at his or her level, and the athlete is performing all elements in that mode with the correct technique. A circle of the element indicates that the area needs attention. For example, if an athlete grips their baton with their index finger along the shaft rather than in the web of the hand, you should circle grip in the proper caption. If you have a written comment specific to a caption, whether it's positive or constructive feedback, you can also write your remarks in the space beside the appropriate mode. So there's a lot of white space available. And then after watching the skills for each caption, go through your circle and check method to make sure that it is an accurate reflection of how the athlete performed all of the skills within that mode. So it's no longer dinging a half a point for every break and a half a point for every start position that's incorrect. Of course, we want to encourage accuracy, but it's not a tear down method. This is a build up method, and it looks holistically at each mode. And then, of course, after looking at the circles and checks and thinking about where the athlete is within each level, you'll check off whether they're exceeding expectations, meeting the expectations, developing, or have not yet acquired the skills for that specific mode. Our next area is our stretch and strength. And so you'll see we have things that we're looking for, as well as that same checkbox of exceeds, meets, developing, or not yet. Again, within the body work, we have the same thing set up. So the skills are required to demonstrate the body work section of the exam are evaluated here. But additionally, all the body technique required for the baton skills can also be considered for this section. So for instance, if an athlete has poor posture throughout his or her exam, it would be circled in one of these captions wherever you see the most concern. Lastly, we have our performance caption, and this deals with our confidence, our start and end position, our professionalism, appearance, consistency, and proficiency. We're used to seeing our penalty box at the bottom of the score sheet, and this is a place to record any drops, breaks, slips, off patterns, loss of balance, or retries as well. This is very similar to what we're used to seeing in other score sheets. These are major errors, but they don't specifically count toward the athlete's score as you would think from the previous scoring method. Rather, these are symptoms of what the cause of the problem was. So make sure if you are adjudicating that you circle the actual cause of the problem rather than thinking, oh, they had 7 drops, it's whatever. So for example, if an athlete drops their vertical neck wrap because it's off pattern and he or she bends over to try to catch it, you'd circle pattern and comment about maintaining proper posture, as well as tick off that they had a drop. And you're also probably thinking, well, what about multiple attempts? Because we used to deduct marks for multiple attempts. So consider the reason for the multiple attempts. Was it nerves? Is it a technical deficiency? And when they do their second try, did their technique actually improve, or did they just do it wrong and get lucky and catch it? Did the athlete change something to improve each attempt? Was the change helpful? Was it beneficial? These are things to consider. And so how does it affect the score? Well, in general, an athlete who requires a second attempt on any skill within a mode won't score that full mark of that exceeding expectations. Consider the cause and the reason, as I said, for extra attempts, and note the technical error on the evaluation sheet with a circle, but we're not going to double ding for the same error in multiple attempts. Oh yeah, I just had a cool box I forgot. There we go. All right, so you're probably wondering to yourself, well, how do I decide whether it's exceeding, meeting, developing, or not yet? Or how is an adjudicator going to choose this? Because sometimes we all know we've gotten a score sheet back and we've thought, what the heck? Well, now we're all going to be on the same page, so there's no more questions about that. We've provided a few different tools to assist finding the correct grade for each caption to help the adjudicators, and I think it's important that the coaches see these as well. You'll calculate your grade. I've got a chart, the tool to assist finding the correct grade, as well as we speak generally in the course about the Hamburger Rubric. And I think it's a great little visual to help everyone understand that if you're sitting at that meeting expectation, if you are making a hamburger, well, it looks like a hamburger, it smells like a hamburger, it tastes like a hamburger, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. If it exceeds expectations, it might be like a double Whopper with extra cheese. It's fast, it's improved beyond the expectation for that level. If it's developing, yeah, you could say like, okay, it's sort of a hamburger. I can see what the intent was, but it's not there yet. And then of course, with not yet, are you not sure what they were making? Was it going to be a sandwich? Are you making a salad? Like, oof. So it's just a helpful rubric, and we go through it in a little bit more detail in the Adjudicator course. Lastly, I wanted to remind everyone that the adjudicators are instructed to provide written feedback to the athlete in the section of overall comments. And in general, they're asked to start with a positive attribute and then include their constructive feedback as well, and then conclude with their positive message like keep up the good work or something like that. It's important that these comments are reflective of the grade. And so we should expect our adjudicators to follow that. And then it's helpful for our coaches as well as the athlete to understand their score. And lastly, I'll talk about the final grade calculation. These are digital masters and they do all the math for you. So you'll fill in your score just like you would on a pre-competitive master. You'll say like exceeding, developing, whichever, and the master will calculate it all out for you. It's important to note you don't have to have all exceeding expectations to get honors, but you do need mostly exceeding expectations to get honors. So I've included a little pass tolerance chart to help you understand a little bit more. If you're getting like all exceeding expectations, of course, that's your honors grade. If you're all meeting expectations, that will average out to be an A. If you're a mix of meeting expectations and developing, it's a B. If you're all developing, it means you haven't got any of the skills. You can't do all of the skills, so it's a must repeat. And if you're all not yet, of course, it's also must repeat. And lastly, the final grade is what you'll put on their score sheet after your master has done the calculation for you. For our coaches and adjudicators, we've got a number of tools that will be very helpful. First, we've got our manual with our linked videos. We have a poster to download, as well as a conversion chart for our old to new program. And we have our app, which is in development, ready for our January 1st rollout. It's important to note that the app includes videos, descriptions, look-fors, and teaching tips, and the manual is available to anyone who purchases the app. With the purchase of the SDP program, you'll be privy to the teaching videos, also webinars in the winter to review the new material. At a quick glance, here is the conversion chart set out. So wherever your athlete currently sits as their status, white, yellow, orange, red, whatever they have passed, their new standing would be here in this chart. And then the next badge or pin that they'll work on is in the furthest column. So for instance, if you currently have passed your white, now you're ready to do your active start 2, which is the red ribbon, or sorry, you have completed equivalent to the active start 2 red ribbon, which means you're ready to move on to your yellow. If you have passed your yellow, well, it's the same as yellow, go on to your orange, orange to orange, red to red, maroon to maroon. That stays pretty consistent. Most of them are actually fairly consistent. Next, bronze pin equates exactly to bronze pin. Gray goes to gray. Green moves to turquoise because the demand, we've brought the demand down in different badge levels, and turquoise and pink have moved down in the demand and the skill level prior to that silver pin. Our green translates to about the skill level that we would require at turquoise now. So you'd move on to your pink. Silver, of course, equates to silver, and you'd move on to your purple badge. If you currently have your turquoise, you would move also on to you've now got the equivalent of your purple badge, and you move on to blue. Pink is equivalent to blue, so go on to your gold. Gold is gold, so next would be your copper, and then diamond is diamond, which means that you're free to move on to your black badge as well. Now, it's important to note that CBTF currently only requires up to gold in order to compete in the B freestyle. So there's no requirements forcing anyone who's finished their diamond pin to go and do their maple leaf pin in order to do a freestyle. But if you are interested in continuing on and you want another badge or another pin to work on, you're more than welcome and encouraged to do so. Additionally, I would like to note for coaches that I highly recommend, while you might be sitting at the purple status, to go back with your athletes and review the skills leading up to these badges as well, especially looking in those yellow, orange, red, maroon with the progression of the continuous rolls. Well, I guess they're not continuous rolls, but the flow of the roll elements, they'll be very beneficial for helping your athletes. We spend a considerable amount of time considering the technique and the progressions building up to, Fujimi rolls. We have a lot of skills that lead into our Fujimi rolls and help with balance and position and training. So it wouldn't hurt. It would be very beneficial to review them. You don't have to go back and test from the beginning, but I do recommend that you continue or you review them. We do require some equipment. So first you need some support, and that can be a bar if you're lucky enough to have a bar available to you. You also need or you could also use a chair. Most of our videos feature a chair beside our bar as a reminder, or you can also use the wall just to catch your balance. You do need a wall for a wall sit, so big enough space to lean on, as well as a metronome. And so I just use an app. I've got the tempo app on my phone and it works great. I set my tempo and it highlights the first count of 4 each time. You can also use a standard metronome, which I'm pretty sure you can get for fairly cheap at like Walmart or any music store. And there's a lot of different apps available. I just really like tempo. But if you're looking for a specific app and you need help finding one, let me know. I'd be more than happy to share with you. I also want to talk a little bit about the pre-competitive alignment, because it was important to our committee as well as the pre-competitive committee that we were all on the same page. And so it made for a lot of Zoom meetings this summer, I'm sure we'll all attest to. But we had many members who sat on both committees, and we ensured that the skills necessary for the pre-competitive routines, which are coming up in a later webinar, are also assessed via the skills development program, timed with our LTAD at the appropriate time. So we want to make sure that they're learning the skills in isolation prior to needing them for a routine for their pre-competitive program. We also wanted to make sure that it was a progressional lead up occurring prior to the need for the skill. So I just have a sample of something that you need for the pre-competitive program, which is a Cheney turn on demi-point for medley 1. So this skill comes directly out of the maroon badge. And our LTAD dictates that our maroon badge aligns with those first routines, our basic march 1, potentially basic march 2, depending on how long you've been twirling, forward motion 1 or 2, as well as medley 1. And the Cheney is required for medley 1. So our direct lead up, and I could go back further, but I thought I'll just go through the specific ones. In orange, we practice our step together, step touch. We have our jump combination with reorientation, so practicing finding where our front is. We also have our exercise for spotting of the head. And in active start 2, we have our demi-point walks, our step touch in time to the metronome, our head positions, and our rise to the demi-point. So we have it all very clearly laid out much before we actually need the skill. And now here's where you come in. We have a huge request for feedback. All coaches and adjudicators are going to switch to this updated version effective January 1st, 2022. We know that no overhaul is perfect, and we want your feedback and know there will likely be some challenges, but we hope that your participation can identify and mitigate some of the challenges to improve athlete, coach, and adjudicator success, ultimately leading to a stronger twirling program nationally. So we're looking for specific feedback on training tips, the look-fors, any errors you find, wording or confusing terminology, practical use, the timeline we have set out, and any other areas that you may wonder about. And we also ask, we also beg that you please record all of your exams that you can and send those videos to help build our library, our video library. I know it's very frustrating when someone says, hey, can we have I need to practice this or demonstrate this, and we only have 3 videos in there for our exam. So if you can please record and send those in, I would greatly appreciate it, as would everyone. So again, just a reminder, the rollout starts. All of our materials will be available for purchase on or before January 1st, 2022, as this program is effective January 1st. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat now, unmute your mic, or if you think of a question later, you can connect with your provincial SDP rep. I'm sure you saw many of them served on the committee, or you can contact me directly at sdprep@cbtf.ca. So I see a few questions in the chat here. Stephanie asks, what happens to our old inventory of white ribbons? And we'll continue to use those for the active start 1, because it's still the white ribbon representing the success there. And you also asked, when is the start date for the new program? Perfect. Again, January 1st, and the new badges will be for sale in time for that. Okay, and we have another question. Will the adjudicator ask for each element in contact, roles, full hand sections, or does the athlete just go for it like in the red video? It's asked for. It's still the same format, like, can you please show me your flourishes? And then you do your flourish. I just had it condensed with nothing for the sake of time. Tanya asks, if an athlete is about to start their gold pin, do they need to go back and do purple and blue? Okay, I'll just zip back in our slides here. Good question. And I'll have this chart available for everyone to convert their status. Okay, so that means if they are just about to start their gold, that they're at pink, which is equivalent to blue, they're ready to start their gold. So no, they don't need to go back and do purple and blue. They're welcome to, it wouldn't hurt, but they don't have to. No, they can go on to their gold. The next question is, when is the adjudicator course for this new rollout and how many courses are there? I might direct this one to Dana. I know that we have one in the works for current adjudicators to update on, coming up, I believe, in November, if I'm not mistaken, and then it'll roll out in the winter time. Is that right, Dana?
Thanks, sir. Yeah, we haven't announced the date, but what we're going to do is take our current adjudicators and run them through the course first to get them certified in the new method of adjudication, as well as to work out any potential kinks with that course. Once that's done, we will contact each of the current adjudicators directly, and then we'll set up that date. Once that's run and we can make any tweaks to the course, then in the new year, we'll be offering that to anybody who wishes to become newly certified. So anybody who does not have current certification for an adjudication can sign up and take that course. And the adjudication and subsequent judging courses are going to be offered all online, and they're offered nationally. So it's not going to be provinces running adjudication courses or judging courses. It's going to be CBTF running these. So we hope to capture more across the nation able to join in on these courses and offer them more frequently throughout the year since they can be done online.
Thanks, Dana. I see a question from Brittany here. For those athletes doing freestyle in the 2022 year, will they be required to have the new badges as well if they're currently at a gold standing or working on gold? No, if you are at gold or working on gold, you're staying exactly where you are. You don't have to go back. We're not going to force anyone to go back and complete extra badges, especially with the requirement for freestyle. However, again, you're welcome to if you'd like. Any other questions? Ron, do you have a question? I see you're unmuted.
No, no, I have nothing to ask. I just think the committee that worked on this and you did a wonderful and a lot of hard time to get done like this. I really enjoy it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ron. I have to, again, thank the committee. It's been a lot of work, but very, very rewarding. Oh, a question has come in. When will the new manual be available so we can start using? Again, we're still on our current program until December 31st at 11:59 p.m. But we'll hopefully have the new manual out prior to that January 1st time so that you can take a peek at it before students show up after Christmas. So we'll aim to have it out a few weeks prior to that January time.
Sarah, Maureen has her hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Maureen, what's your question?
My question is, what is the difference between the app and the videos that are going to be on the manual that you just click on?
Sure, that's a really good question, Maureen. The app is going to have, you'll click on SDP program, and then you'll have your explanation as well as the video there right away. You won't have to do a second click to get to the video. If you're going through the PDF manual, it's just highlighted or it's just underlined that you can click and it'll take you away from the PDF to see the video. So the app will just have it all in one screen rather than having to jump from screen to screen.
But when you're teaching from the manual, would the clickable skill be handier than the app, like in a teaching situation?
I think it would be the opposite, because you'll have your video right there and your words right here all in one screen, rather than bouncing between my manual, clicking, and then another screen to see the video and then going back.
I guess you just get used to it.
Yeah. Anyone who's familiar with the Acrobatic Arts app, their Acro Resource Center or the old one as well, it'll look fairly similar.
And then the other thing is, I know that you don't have to go back, but I think it is very interesting information that maybe the coaches should look at and go back and see if there's anything they would like to incorporate into a class. I don't think they have to be tested. I just think that the build-up steps are actually quite helpful, and the girls doing the videos enjoyed that part of it, to see how that went together. So it would be sort of an interesting thing to do, but it's not a requirement, but I think it would be very helpful.
I agree. That is a great commercial, Maureen, for going back and reviewing. At the very least yourself, but if you want to take your athletes through, I think they would find it to be a really interesting time.
Mm-hmm. Just don't have to go to the expense and the process of arranging tests. But I think it's an important in the let's not skip steps concept.
I agree. Any other questions?
There's another one that popped up in the chat there, Sarah.
There we go. I'd love to start building some of these concepts now before January. Any direction or suggestion on how to start now? That's a great question. I would say talk to your current rep in your province. I believe you're from Ontario, and so you could speak with Stephanie about some of the work that we did, and she can likely give you a preview in advance to help you. One of the biggest ones would be come to the pre-competitive program webinar, and you'll see some of the roles in action. And I will go through that a little bit more there, I believe, Dana.
Yeah. So we are not rolling this out we're not selling this yet. We can't publish the app yet because it's not ready. Our target date is January 1st. I'm so glad to hear that people are excited to get on this. Keep working with your current badge program, and come January 1st, you'll be able to dive into the new one. You'll just have to hold off a couple months right now.
Mm-hmm. Debbie asked, with the app, do you need to be connected to Wi-Fi? I've raised this question. Our app developer is my husband, Andre, and also working with Jeff. So the two of them have been working diligently on this. And I know Andre is excited to solve these problems, and he's working so that it will have an offline version for you. So you won't have to be connected to Wi-Fi, because I know that's sometimes pretty spotty in the gym. And Stephanie, you asked, can committee members share the drafts? I would hesitate to share the PDF drafts.
No sharing of the drafts, because there's been changes to them and it'll just confuse everybody.
But if you wanted to, Stephanie, if you wanted to talk to some of the people in your province about some of the updates generally, or go over the roles with them, that's totally okay. Just speaking generally, right, Dana?
Yeah, I would encourage everybody to attend our pre-comp webinar that's coming up November 14th, I believe it is. And as Sarah mentioned, some of the skills that are in the SDP are reflected in the updates to the routines. So that will be launched and available as soon as that webinar is complete. So you will have stuff that you can work on. And then we want everybody to be working from the most final version of this SDP that we can. So that's why we don't want drafts circulating or anything going out before we're ready to say, this is what we're producing. So just hold tight.
Any other questions? Maureen, is your hand up for another question?
Oh, no, I'll take it down. No,
Okay.
no, I'm good.
All right.
If I got asked questions though, at home here from Saskatchewan people, am I allowed to answer them?
I think so.
If you know the
I-
answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
I hope-
encourage
I hope I
sharing.
know the answer, but I'm thinking like Elena would like to start. And then I think, I don't know, but I'm expecting some questions.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, well, we are at the end of October now, and so it's only 2 more months until the material comes out. So I just encourage everybody, hold tight, and when it's ready, it'll be in your hands.
be patient.
Be patient.
It's exciting though.
It is very exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for everybody to work with it, and as Sarah said, we do want your feedback. We'll be using this coming season for people to dive in and use the program and provide their feedback to Sarah or your provincial SDP rep before next fall's technical meeting, where we will put the final stamp of approval on it. And then we won't be touching it for a long time, because the amount of effort and hours that have gone into this is worthy of being untouched for the next X number of years. Okay, so I think with that, we are ready to wrap up. Thanks, Sarah, for the presentation this evening. Very informative. Thanks everybody for joining us, and make sure you register for the next upcoming webinar. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for the pre-comp standard routines. Thanks everyone.